Hey everybody, greetings and welcome back to another edition of Electric Avenue's YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me. Those of you that are new, thanks for joining me. I don't have the best lighting in the world. I'm not the most photogenic person, but I try to give you the latest lowdown of what is new in the store week to week. And this week, October 14th, 2022. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and it seems to be people like it, so I'm just going to keep doing it. And yeah, so I think first of all, before I kind of get on to new releases, I just wanted to bring up the point that we're starting to see a lot of things in the supply chain sort of ease a little bit and starting to see more reissues of records coming back in. Now, that being said, what happens is that they come back in, people see them right away, they snatch them all up, and then they're gone and we're out of them again, which is the case with this record that I'm going to show, which is Nine Inch Nails' The Fragile. Haven't seen it in about 2 years. It finally showed up, a few of them, and they're gone as fast as they arrive. So whether or not we're going to see this again in the near future remains to be seen. Trent has promised the releases of Year Zero and The Slip, I think years ago. He was promising those, and obviously there were problems with things in our world, and that hasn't happened yet. So anyway, one of his biggest records back out on the shelves again. Maybe by the time you see this video, it'll probably be gone, but anyway, I got to show it. Other things I want to show. So let's get to new releases real quick. The big new release this week, I would say, is Red Hot Chili Peppers' Return of the Dream Canteen. Love that cover art. It's so weirdly psychedelic and Chili Peppers-ish. This is the second album that they've put out in 2022. Returning guitarist John Frusciante, and this is 17 more songs, so we're up to 34 songs that John has contributed to on a Chili Peppers record this year. It's like, what are they making up for lost time? This is sort of like getting a little bit more than Stadium Arcadium really in one sort of shot. But 17 songs. You got Fake as FU @K is one of them, and there's a song called Eddie, which is a tribute to Eddie Van Halen. So yeah, and what's interesting about this too is that there's the exclusive color vinyl edition, and then there's also a limited vinyl edition which has a slightly different cover art, and that one is a gatefold sleeve and includes a poster. And look, the artwork is completely different layout on it. So, I mean, I guess if you're a collector, you need them both. I know this one is extremely limited, so and it's also a little more expensive. But colored vinyl is nice, as usual. So, well, if that's not enough, you can also get a handy dandy cassette of it. Don't have too many of these right now, but you can probably find them for a little while. Another big release this week is the new album from the 1975. And this one is called Being Funny in a Foreign Language. And it was produced by Jack Antonoff, producer to the stars, Taylor Swift, Lana Del Rey. You sort of name it, Jack's been on it. And he tries to give them more of a sort of a pop, like a direct pop record. There's like no real interludes and stuff like that you'll find on some of their older records. This is a band that is big, and I feel like they should be massive by now. And part of it is, I think, the fact that, they're always kind of throwing curveballs and keeping their fans sort of like on the edge as to what they're going to do next. And that's great to a point. And then at some point you're like, well, thanks for the art, but maybe, who knows? And it's probably a great album, so I can't wait to check it out. I've liked a lot of their other stuff. Planes. So this album, I have a feeling some people might not know who this is just by seeing this. This is actually Waxahachie, Katie Crutchfield, and Jess Williamson joins her. So if you're a Waxahachie fan, I suggest you check out Planes, because I think that's something you will be interested in. Let's see. I love the title of this. I think it's hysterical. Todd Rundgren's Space Force. This is, I know I shouldn't laugh because it is a thing now, but, and it's on red vinyl, and who knows, Space Force might be very protective someday. I think it already sort of is in some ways. So, anyway, that's neither here nor there. This album features contributions from a lot of luminaries in the rock world, producers and such, people who are of notoriety. Adrian Belew is the first track. Rivers Cuomo is the second. Neil Finn, The Roots, Sparks, Davy Lane. That's side one. Side two features people like Thomas Dolby, Rick Nielsen, Lemon Twigs, and Steve Vai are the names that sort of pop out at me. I'm sure it's crazy. Todd's done some really interesting things lately, and he does love to collaborate. There's been a lot of collaborations. I seem to remember he even did something with Robin, this sort of dance pop girl from Sweden. Anyway, he's open to a lot of things. Another sort of famous producer, musician that I'm excited to hear is the new Brian Eno record. And this is called Forever and Ever No More. And it's a vocal album. It's song based, so it's not necessarily just purely ambient kind of stuff, but looks like 10 songs, and vinyl's made in Germany. So, Eno's always interesting. I like him. Plus, we wouldn't have Talking Heads Remain in Light the way it is, or David Bowie, I suppose, like Heroes and Lodger, or U2's Joshua Tree without Eno, at least the way that, he brought those productions forth. Something I'm going to show that I sort of neglected last week or 2 weeks ago, it was last week, that just came in a little late, is the Mark Knopfler box set. This is Mark's studio albums 2009 to 2018. You see it's kind of a hefty box set, over $200 on vinyl. 9 LPs, 4 studio albums, mastered by Bob Ludwig, vinyl cut by Bernie Grunman. Contains 23 additional bonus tracks. So if you're a huge Mark Knopfler fan and you don't have the recent albums, you might want to pick that up. There's another box set that came out earlier this year that had the earlier solo records. Here's a band that someone said to me yesterday, they're still around. Yeah, Alter Bridge. If you like Creed type stuff, this is up your alley. So, new Alter Bridge record. Let's see. Also, new Dr. John. I showed this CD weeks ago. The vinyl's finally out. This is supposedly the last album that he was working on. It does feature tracks with Willie Nelson, Aaron Neville, and Lucas Nelson, and Promise of the Real, and sort of a country album in a way. And there's also a Garden District green vinyl plus bonus 7-inch inside. So, Dr. John. One of my favorite 90s like indie pop British bands. I say band because it's really started out as one guy and kind of grew into a band, but the Lightning Seeds, Ian Brody, See You in the Stars. This is his first record in 13 years. I can't wait to hear it because the last one was kind of super mellow, and this sounds a little more like the more rocky poppy stuff he was doing in the 90s. It actually is on Midnight Blue Smoky vinyl, this edition. And another British from a former, well, I guess the band is still a thing. I don't think they've broken up, but Tom Chaplin. It's called Midpoint. He's the lead singer of Keen, and back there. My feeling of Tom is he's got such a great voice. And, he sort of went through a period there where he had a lot of personal problems. And you kind of listened to Keen's music and you thought, this guy sounds like he's got it totally together. What's the personal problem? Which just proves that you never know from just listening to their surface music what's going on behind closed doors. And anyway, I would say his voice is probably, I like it better than Chris Martin, but that's just a personal taste. But I think, while I think Coldplay writes or has written some great songs, so did Keen. So anyway, he gets sort of overlooked, I think, in some ways. Great singer, though. Empire Central by Snarky Puppy. Snarky Puppy is sort of a jazz-based group. This is, they've won 4 Grammys, returned to Dallas in their classic live-in studio recording for live-in studio recording format. This feels like it is a 3-record set, so it's not cheap. But, it seems like it's been a little while since they had a record out, a couple years maybe. So they probably have a lot of material. So anyway, new Snarky Puppy. On the reissue front, very exciting here. David Bowie, Heroes. We could be heroes just for one day. This is a gray vinyl edition done by the Bowie estate. And I suppose it's to celebrate. This would be the 45th anniversary of this. Yeah, it's gray vinyl. There's nothing on the cover, though, to indicate that. So I would say just look for the official Bowie sticker, which sort of sets it apart from the other pressing of this. Although and this is still the 2017 remaster that they did, the corrected one, not the one that was in the box set originally that had the dropouts. But I would, I don't think I have the original pressing of the 2017 of that anymore on the shelf. So really, that is kind of the only choice right now. But this is kind of a shock for Duran Duran fans. Medazzaland. This is sort of a obscure 90s record from them, I'll say, because it was not even released on CD in the UK, which is a very odd thing because this album, they're a UK band. You would think that it would have come out there. But yeah, so the single on this was called Electric Barbarella, sort of referencing where they got their name and the movie. It's the 25th anniversary 2 LP special edition. I believe it's pink vinyl. Yeah, neon pink. So this was post-wedding album. Like, it was after Ordinary World, after Come Undone, and they'd done a covers album that sort of was middling in the review arena. And this one, Duranies will get that. This one was the one that followed, and John Taylor had started working on this album on bass, and then he bowed out because he had a lot of personal problems to deal with. And so it really was just the 3 members, Simon Le Bon, Nick Rhodes, and Warren Cucurullo, ex Missing Persons, and Frank Zappa. And at this point, the trio, they were kind of sonically very different than what the original band sort of sounded like. I think they were experimenting a little bit more. There's a couple really great songs on this album. Out of My Mind is a song that I always thought was kind of like Come Undone Part 2. And Michael, You've Got a Lot to Answer For is a kind of a take on Simon's friendship with Michael Hutchence. And he had just passed away. So, but it's an album that sort of got buried. And there's a big sort of Duran reissue campaign that's happening. So if you're a fan of them, you might want to pay attention because there's at least 3 more records coming out from them soon. And also a reissue of their last one that has more tracks on it. So going to be a busy Duran fall in the vinyl arena. So I used it again. So Uh, oh, this is great. I should just use this for my lighting all the time. See that glow that it gives me? So everybody knows, I think, that if you watch this, that they have been issuing so many versions of Vince Guaraldi's Charlie Brown Christmas. And we just got a Snowstorm vinyl edition reissue that was out of stock. And then we got this new one that was the gold vinyl. I say gold, the cover is a gold foil. The record is black, but it's a new embossed cover edition of that. If that wasn't enough, this week, now, I think the CD has been delayed. It's coming later, which is very weird because usually the CDs come first. But we get the new deluxe Charlie Brown Christmas. This is a deluxe edition that's put out by Craft Recordings. This is a 180 gram 2 LP set. It's usually one record, featuring a new stereo mix of the classic holiday album and unreleased recording session outtakes. Mixed by Paul Blakemore, cut by Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio. Includes new liner notes by Peanuts historian Derek Bang. Yeah, so you're getting a lot more stuff. All of the sort of, or not all, but many of the outtakes that were not used in the original of this. So if you're a Charles Schultz Peanuts historian or a lover of Vince Guaraldi, I never can quite figure out which way to say that, but I mean, I usually go for Guaraldi. But anyway, if you are, it's probably Guaraldi. But if you're going for that, you probably want to get that because it has more stuff if you're a fan of that. And who isn't a fan of that? That's probably one of the top 3 biggest selling Christmas albums I can think of that wasn't, at least one that wasn't like, Mariah Carey or something like that. All right. Another RSD Essential reissue. We get Roy Orbison. This is King of Hearts. This is actually a really great album. It came out post-mortem. Red vinyl, limited edition remastered. It features You're the One, was a song that got played a lot. Also, his cover of I Drove All Night, which Cyndi Lauper had done. And also Crying, the duet with Katie Lang, is on this. So I think it's going to be kind of a popular record. I don't know how long it's going to be in stock. It's probably sort of going to be like that Chris Isaak record that sort of was here and gone, the one with Wicked Games. So there is another Chris Isaak coming soon, San Francisco Days. So Rocktober continues with the Stooges Fun House. And we haven't had this record in stock on a new pressing on vinyl for a little while now. And this is on half red, half black vinyl. And this is sort of an important punk rock classic, I would say. Also, great, like one of the best albums probably of the 70s. And I know that's up for discussion. Television, Marquee Moon. And it's another Rocktober ultra clear vinyl. So you get a very ultra clear pressing. Had this discussion with someone about what color is the best to listen to vinyl on. There's a lot of talk that like glow in the dark is the worst, although I've had some glow in the dark that sounds fine. There's talk that clear is best because they don't add pigmentation to it, and black is a pigment. There's people who prefer black because that's the standard and you can see if there are flaws on the record. Personally, I don't really care as long as it sounds good. There are records that are pressed that just happen to not sound great. I can't remember the one. I heard one last week that it started off with a little bit of surface noise, and as it went, it sort of went away, and I flipped it over and it was fine. So it was just really at the beginning of the record. It could have just been that individual record or something. I'll get back to this in a minute. So let me finish this up. Fleetwood Mac, reissue of their first album with Nicks and Buckingham, or Buckingham Nicks, as it were. Features Rhiannon and Landslide and Say You Love Me. I mean, those are all sort of big hits. All right, another one. This band, they keep cranking out sort of live reissues from Can. This is 1976. Cuxhaven, I suppose that's how you say that. 1976, a little bit later in their career, so that kind of makes that interesting, I suppose, because it's not a era that people maybe know quite as well as the earlier stuff. The reason I'm showing this is not really a new release this week. It's King Crimson's Red. I don't know if you see this, but on the sticker, it says something about a Steven Wilson and Robert Fripp remix, and there are a bunch of these that are out there right now. They did press the Steven Wilson mixes on vinyl. I think they'd been in a box set, and maybe they pulled them out and did some of them one at a time or whatever. But if you're interested in those, you might want to sort of jump soon, because I don't know how long those versions will be out there. Okay, and another thing that sort of gets in my craw is Pearl Jam Rear View Mirror. Here's part 1. It's a 2 LP set. And part 2, which is also a 2 LP set. Okay, so you need to get, well, it's 4 records, but 2 parts to get all of the hits. And I think there are a couple tracks on here that are not on the albums, so the studio albums. So if you want them, you sort of have to get this. Now, what gets in my craw about this is that these were available for a while at I was Walmart. Can't remember if it was Walmart or Target, but somebody, one of the big box chains had them. I always like to think of Pearl Jam sticking by me through thick and thin in all of my indie years. And when they do shit like that, sorry, and it's not just them, I mean, and it's anybody who has management that makes a deal with like a big corporation at the expense of indies. And you could say, well, indies get special color vinyl and whatever. It's like, yeah, but indies have to sell a lot more to make up those costs. And so anyway, Pearl Jam had these live ones available at those places for a little while. And we were actually offered to purchase them and sell them while they were in those other stores. But they were charging us like import pricing. They wanted, I don't know, $60, $70 for each one, which most people would not do if you could go down the road to Walmart and pay $30, $35 for one. So now they're about $35 in store. And so we kind of got a delayed. I suppose that it's because Taylor Swift didn't have a record out at the time, so they were trying to find another way to screw indie stores. I don't know, but it's a touchy subject. All right, anyway, moving right along. Johnny Winter's Third Degree reissue. This is on Alligator Records, sort of one of his later albums. Sorry, I'm going to make noise there. Promise Ring. This is probably their most popular album, I would say. Nothing Feels Good. I remember selling a lot of this on CD back in the day when that came out. Hip hop classic. Diggable Planet's Blowout Comb. I may have showed this a few weeks ago. This is another pressing of it. They did 2 pressings. The other one was like opaque purple or lavender. This one is clear with a purple splotch in the center. These are not cheap at all. Light in the Attic did these. Supposedly they did a really good job. They should, for how much they're charging for them. All right. LP, another sort of hip-hop classic. This one's called Fantastic Damage. Love that cover art. LP's done some great work for hip-hop, and then he started branching out and did sort of this, I would call it more of an indie rock album. but this one is also available now. I can't remember who's on this. I want to say like, TV on the radio, and there were a bunch of sort of more, it was like he kind of tried to do a little bit more of a rock record. Interesting. Mac DeMarco's too. 10th anniversary of this, and it's probably, I'd say top 2 or 3 sellers for Mac, and it's hard to find now. I think they were waiting so they could put this out, so they hadn't been making more of the original. He says, I like all my records, but I have the most vivid memories from making this one. Well, that says something, because usually kind of stoned, but yeah, and it's a double vinyl, so you get a lot of demos and a booklet with new liner notes, and it's a nice little 2 LP set. And I think this has been out before as a regular vinyl, but Allman Brothers live from A&R Studios 1971, and this is on pink vinyl for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It feels like they did way more pink vinyl of these in the last couple years, and this year not much. I think because it's been so hard just to get records made. So what was I didn't really have a plan today about what I was going to talk about, but I will mention I saw somebody, almost forgot the CDs. Hold on a second. Frank Zappa, 75. This is in Zagreb and Ljubljana. I don't know if I said that right. Two CD set. Here it is, a tribute to Leonard Cohen. This is coming out on vinyl in about a month. This has Norah Jones, Peter Gabriel, Gregory Porter, Sarah McLachlan, James Taylor, Iggy Pop, Mavis Staples, David Gray, Nathaniel Rateliff, Bill Frisell, a couple more there. Also a Leonard Cohen collection. This was supposed to come on vinyl. It hasn't shown up yet. Hallelujah and songs from his albums. So basically it's a kind of a greatest hits type collection. New Bill Callahan album. This is called Reality, or Italia if you're reading it backwards. It looks like Reality when I hold it up there, but hello. That's something I want to show you. Lanois, Daniel Lanois, Player Piano, his new offering. New CD from Blue October. Yep, they're still doing it. And they love releasing records in October for some reason. New Skid Row, Sans Sebastian Bach. All right. And new Orianthe. She's like guitarist to the stars, right? Excuse me. All right. So I think what I was going to say here at the end is there's been a little bit of talk recently about the quality of records and their pressings and all that. Obviously, the whole mobile fidelity thing has sort of kind of inflamed the internet and YouTube and the vinyl community. And I think what I'll say on this, I don't want to like drag this on, but people who are looking for perfection, I don't know if vinyl is really the way to go. And I'm not saying that as a negative about vinyl. I'm just saying that you need to keep your expectations realistic. And I see some people spending over $1,000 reserving these new Steely Dan issues that are coming out from Acoustic Sounds, or Analog Productions, and I think that's great. I really love what is being done with that company in my home state of Kansas. I think they're fantastic. It's done so much to really prop up that town and bring some notoriety to it. Good things. But at what point does it become a little bit like too much? And I don't like to complain about stuff. It's not in my nature to complain. But when I hear other people complaining, I sort of have to speak up. And I heard someone complaining on YouTube this week a lot about a certain pressing of an album by a very famous band that has a new remix out. And said there were a lot of returns coming back because the records were damaged or something like that. And I asked a couple of my customers, and they said, well, if it did have like pops or something like that, clicks, they just cleaned it and it sounded better. And I think we're in a time where everyone's been in such a rush to get production. We got to get it out. We got to get it out. That, mistakes are going to be made, sure. But I think what happens is then you're sort of doing a disservice to the band, because the band is sort of like taking it on the chin, because, you're out there saying en masse to thousands of people who then spread it to all of their friends, oh, don't buy this record because there's a problem with it. And, you don't know if that's maybe like limited to your portion of that pressing, or is every single one gonna be that way, or was it just like a problem with a couple of boxes, or hard to say. And then you're opening yourself up for a lot of like scrutiny too, and it actually does not help stores that are trying to sell product when you've got someone out there saying, don't buy this. And I'm not saying like I want to sell defective product or anything like that by any means. If it's defective, it's defective. But I don't know, like it's you start going like, this is sort of what this whole experience has become, is everybody has a voice, everybody has an opinion, everybody has a different experience. And so to kind of be the spokesman for a crusade or something, in some ways it's been good, because it's really opened a lot of doors to things that people were not aware of, and in other ways it's a little be careful what you wish for. So I don't know, I guess maybe I sit somewhere in the middle. Probably it probably says a lot about my sort of take on a lot of things. But one thing I will say is not acceptable, and I just got this in my box this week from one of my large distributors, is I'd ordered Grant Green, Feelin' the Spirit, which has just come out recently. And this is how I got it when I lifted it out of the box. You can see that right there, where, it was sandwiched in with other records, but how it got so torn on the bottom, and then you get that as your cover. So obviously this is going back. That is what I would call a definite defect. And I don't think it was a record that was defective that way to begin with. I think from all the slamming around and shipping, and I don't know. It's hard to say. It probably actually went into the box this way, is my take on that, because I don't know how else all of this gets ripped off all the way up there. But so we are dealing with a fair amount of sort of people who aren't caring, and they're just going through the motions and trying to get stuff out the door. It does get frustrating. So that's what we're here for, it is to try and at least check those things over and then stand behind them before they go to you. So I can see the guy's point where he's like, I'm getting frustrated in dealing with returns on a certain piece of product. But, I don't know if I'd go out there and say like, this sucks, for like everybody out there to kind of, because there are going to be some people who say, oh, really? Mine was fine, or I didn't have a problem with it, or I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. All right. Well, that's sort of, I don't know, that was sort of a random topic, I suppose, but that's me talking off the cuff. All right. Thank you very much for joining me. My voice is giving out. Well, it's been another 35 minutes. Appreciate your time with me. I'm sorry these videos go on for so long. If they stopped releasing so many records, I wouldn't have to talk for this long. And at Christmas time, you'll be like, I don't see him talking about stuff the way he was, and I'll probably be like, I'm tired. And by then I'll be doing like, hey, these are my favorite albums of the year. And I've had a lot. 2022 has been much better, in my opinion, than 2021 was. And it's going to be hard for me to really narrow down my favorite records. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. Hey, thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching, and see you soon. Catch you next time. Okay? Be well. Take care.